There's something that's called cash flow family banking. And when you look at the richest companies in the world, no matter what their industry is, they all do the same strategy. And what they do is they actually create a bank for themselves. And it's something that people have been doing for over a century that average everyday people can do as well. But typically people don't even understand that it's available because their mind does not even think that they can actually have access to a bank. And here's something that I want you to understand. The house always wins. Whether you're talking about the casino or whether you're talking about a bank that loans people money for a house or a bank that loans people money to buy buildings or a bank that loans money to buy businesses, the house always wins. And the bank is equivalent to the house. So when you think about you creating your own bank, that is a way for you to essentially always win. The bank wins regardless of the economy. When the economy is bad, the banks win. When the economy is stable, the banks win. When the economy is doing great, the banks win every single time. I would encourage you to go to cashflowfamilybanking.com. I'll leave a link in the description and consider creating your own bank. And you might be thinking, well, I don't have a lot of money. You can start with very minimal amounts of money. You can start with where you are. But this is something that I strongly encourage you to do because this is a way that you can cause your money to make money. Think about the bank from the perspective of how the bank works. I'm not sure if you know this, but they take our money that you and I put into their bank and they loan it out to us and they make money off of our money. And if they have $1,000 in the bank, they only have $1,000. They're able to loan $10,000 even though they don't have $10,000. They only have $1,000. So banks, they make a lot of money. And if we understood how the banks really work, we would be tearing down our doors trying to create our own banks. And it doesn't have to be like the banks that we see, but we create banks on the level that we're on, and we can use these banks to build wealth at a massive, massive level because that's what a lot of these companies are doing. When you think about Amazon, Apple, Nike, all these different real estate companies, all of them have their own banks because when you can look at most of their assets is in cash flow family banking. But I want to encourage you to look it up and not just take my word for it. So go to cashflowfamilybanking.com, and this is one of the ways that I truly encourage you to just take a chance on yourself and take a calculated risk. Now, the second calculated risk that I would encourage you to truly invest in is real estate. Now, I know that that's something that typically you have to have like larger sums of money to invest in. However, I will say that there are ways where you can invest in real estate with either no money down or very little money. Now, one of the first properties that I got, for transparency, I got it with $2,500. Now, for some people, that might be a lot of money, but for others, they're like, man, how can I sign up? Because when you think about real estate is statistically right now, 90% of all millionaires and billionaires have real estate. So that's a clue. When you think about the wealthiest people in the world, success leaves clues. And this is a clue that you and I can pick up and use to our advantage. Now, the third thing that I would say in terms of a calculated risk is interest. Having interest income. And here's what I mean by that. Either interest income from the perspective that you either own stocks, and even if you don't know anything about the stock market at all, think about the things that you actually invest in from the perspective if you wear Nikes, if you have an iPhone, if you shop at Amazon, like all of those things are things that you can actually buy a small share in those companies by way of stock. So if you wear it, if you invest in it, if you utilize it every single day, those are things that might be good for you to invest in. And obviously you want to do some research, but I'm just saying that the things that you already invest in those things, even if you don't really understand how stocks work. Another way that you can actually earn interest income is becoming a hard money lender. And what that means is you're just taking a certain amount of money that you have and you're loaning it to somebody else and they're paying you a certain percent of interest on that money that you actually loan to them. Now, there's ways where you can set this up to protect yourself as much as possible. When you think about all of the money that you've made in the previous step and you let that build up over time, and then you actually put yourself in a position where you can loan that money to somebody else for a short period of time, whether it's 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, even 1 month, and you can make money from that money. That is a great way to earn interest income in a form of you using money to actually work for you and allowing your money to work just as hard for you as you work for it. And I want to encourage you to invest as quick as you possibly can. It's important for you to get your money to work for you immediately so that your money can continue to work for you as long as it possibly can. And it's like the quicker that you can start investing, the more money, believe it or not, over time that your money is going to make, even if somebody else started out later on and they started with the same amount, but they invested later on and you invested earlier, you're going to make so much more money than they did. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the scenario, and I encourage you to look this up, of somebody who doubled starting with a penny. They doubled their income for every 30 days, just starting with a penny. And I don't remember the exact number, but it's like well over $100,000 or something like that. It's just showing you the power of compounding interest. The quicker that you invest your money, the compounding interest is going to work in your favor. Compounding interest is like the eighth wonder of the world because of how powerful it is. Now, before we get to the last and final step, I want you to do yourself a favor and answer this question. What do you do between 6 p.m. and midnight on a daily basis? And I don't know what that answer is for you, but the reality is this: most people, they waste that 6 hours that they could be building wealth on something that is not income producing, but something that is income deteriorating. That's almost a 4 days work that somebody could be utilizing to build wealth. But whatever time you stay up, I want to encourage you, maybe not every single day, but at least every other day, leverage and start maximizing from 6 p.m. if you can, up until the time that you actually go to bed, to focus on ways where you can build wealth. Now, I'm not saying that it's just super easy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's doable and it's possible, and it doesn't require a lot of your time. It just takes consistency. And I tell you, it's so much about your thinking and your mindset, because a lot of times when people think about, I deserve it, that's a mindset. Because when you think about what you really deserve to have freedom, finances, fulfillment at the highest level, and there's a price to pay for that. And you deserve to pay for that price to get what you deserve at the highest level to experience for a lifetime. Now, this is the last step. And this is something that a lot of people say, but a lot of people don't follow this advice. That is never investing things that you don't understand. There are some opportunities that come and it can promise to, give you this type of return, in this short period of time, but you have no clue of what it really is and what it really means. And even though it's tempting because of the return, you want to look at more so the understanding, because the more that you understand, the more money you can make in things that might not even have an obvious return. But when you strictly focus on investing in things that you understand, that's going to be a much more solid investment. It's going to be something that you feel great about, and it's something that you can communicate to others. And there are ways where you can actually introduce others to opportunities to invest, and you also make money from that as well. But I just want to get you to understand the importance of building wealth and taking the extra money that you make from other things that you do outside of maybe your main source of making money. Put that money aside, let it build up, or allow it to even make money right now, and then you take that and cause that to make more money, because you want to always give your money a job. And when you think about things from that perspective, even starting a business, because I didn't say this earlier, even when it comes to starting a business, you can start a business with zero money whatsoever. A lot of time people don't realize that it doesn't take as much money to start a business as they actually think, because people start businesses every single day with no money whatsoever. You can get a side hustle just introducing other products by way of an affiliate commission, and you can make money that way as well. And again, focusing on things that pay a high commission, it can put you in a position where you can stack up quickly, allow that money to work for you, and build the wealth that you truly desire. If you've gotten any value from this video, hit that like button. I want to know from you, out of all of the steps that I shared, what was the biggest takeaway from you? Put that in the comments below, because we can learn from each other. And what you might put might be different from what somebody else put, but we can all learn from each other. But I'm curious to know, what was the biggest takeaway from you that you're actually going to do? And put it below in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.